You got to do it for Instagram.
Okay, there we go. Hey guys,
In the morning.
it is
It
afternoon.
is afternoon.
Happy Finish Friday. Um, we're kind of jazzed about showing you how to do something today, and a lot of people, it's a misnomer in the fact that a lot of people think that Gene and I want to paint everything. That's not true. A lot of you may not know, but we manufactured furniture for over 30 years, and we had a lot of really beautiful stained pieces of furniture. And the real way to getting a beautiful stained finish is to be able to have a lot of depth. You don't want to say, you can't really say a one and done.
Mm-mm.
A one and done doesn't do it. When you're wanting to get a really beautiful stained finish, you've got to be able to recreate the look that you're going to see on an 18th or 19th century chest of drawers or table or whatever. What draws us to that is the patina, that beautiful patina and that depth and that age of the oxidation over a long period of time, hundreds of years, is what makes it a really pretty piece of furniture. Would you not agree?
Absolutely. It's Patina used to sit behind me in school. Anyway, no, it's that you want, it's like what draws you to that? It is the patina, it's the age. It's not that somebody continued doing something to the finish over the year. It's just what the years have done to the finish. And yes, there's probably been some waxing or something done to it, but there is a texture almost to it, a layering, which gives it much more depth than just the one and done.
Yes. So we're going to show you today how to create that. It's once you know the secret, once you know of how to create the magic, it's kind of like the magician. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
Because we don't want you to think you can't rub some stain on top of something and get a lot of depth and a really beautiful finish. It's not possible. So as you pop on here, please say hello. Tell us where you're tuning in from. We're so glad that you've joined us today. My name is Amy Howard, and I am with
Mr. Amy Howard.
Gene Howard. I'm with my amazing husband, Gene Howard. And the code for today is stained, STAINED, stained 20. And the reason we do that is because when we're educating you, we want to teach you how to do something. We want you to get excited and go, I'm going to do this. And so we offer you a 20% discount to be able to get the products that we're working with today. So sit down, relax, take the next few minutes, and we want to walk you through this process. Now, I'm going to hold these up. I'm going to let you work, but I want to show them. As far as here's the before. Can you see this? Here's the before. We're going to be working on oak today, and I really encourage you to work with wood samples when you're wanting to recreate this. And then here's the after. I want you to look at the depth. Can you see that? The depth, the markings, the patina. Look at the before and after. Jean literally did this before this morning, before we went live. And I want you to see the depth. We just went from raw wood to this gorgeous stained patina. It's really, really, really pretty. All right, so I'm going to turn this down. As you pop on here, say, hey, tell us where you're tuning in from, and then be sure and share this video. If you share the video, your name goes in for a drawing. And in just a few days, we're going to be announcing the winner on our social media pages, and we'll let you know if you've won or not. We're going to send you some free product, and we're going to even pay to ship it to you. So we just say sharing is caring here at Amy Howard at Home. I don't know that there's a whole lot of companies that the owners go live on social media to teach you how to use the products that we create.
Unless they're in trouble.
So we do this because we love you and we appreciate you, and we want you to know that there's a lot of love in the team behind Amy Howard at Home. We care deeply about you,
Yeah.
and we want you to have success in your projects because we want you to make your life and your home a more beautiful place. So, all right, I'm going to turn this down. We will be looking and answering your questions. So please, if you have a question, even in the process that Jean is going through this today, ask us and we'll be more than happy to answer you. So, all right. And we've got some exciting news to announce when we're finished with this live. So, all right. So I'm going to lower this. Want to make sure that we can see this. Is that good? Does that show up nice and clear? All right.
That a little bit.
Good deal.
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go.
All right. So this is our before.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the after. Let's get it kind of close where they can kind of see, where you can kind of see the depth. I may lower this just a little bit more. So you go on and start talking, babe, and I'll get it fixed for you. Okay.
Oh,
Is that any better?
I don't believe so.
Hold on just a second. Let me see. If all right, well, you start talking and I'll mess with this.
No, as Amy said, we're working with oak. This particular species is a red oak, and there we go.
Oh, but much better.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Yes, let me get us a little further in. Move that. There we go.
Beautiful, babe.
There we go. And you know, this is something is more detailed to it. Normally, with the products we have, we've tried to do it where it's much more simplified and easier to use. But when you're trying to get this kind of finish, where you're looking at something that looks like it's maybe 100 to 200 years old, it's just
That's
you know,
gorgeous.
you just have to do the extra steps that's required. It's not difficult. Most difficult part of this is if you find a piece of furniture you want to refinish, you're going to have to strip it. You're going to have to go through the stripping process and get it down to bare wood. Or if it's a new piece of furniture that hasn't been finished, even better. But it's more difficult to find an unfinished piece of furniture that is a design from the 18th, 19th century. It's usually more modern, more contemporary. So you just have to go through the extra steps, but it is absolutely worth
You
it.
know, a lot of the pieces too that we're able to thrift are from the 30s and the 40s.
Yes.
And those pieces are made out of oak. A lot of people don't realize that.
And a lot of times they were reproductions. They
Right.
were, third reproductions
Right.
of an 18th, 19th century piece. The thing is the style of it was a reproduction of an old piece, but the finish was brand new.
Right.
And so it didn't look like an antique. It just looked like a reproduction that was made, a few weeks ago. So some of the tools that we're going to use today, we're going to have a block of wood. We'll explain each one of these as we use them. I've got a couple of nail punches with a fine tip. That's because I would have preferred ice picks that have the wooden handles on it. It'd be easier to use, but we were pulling from what we had, and this worked perfect. It's just a fine tip nail punch. We've got our stain that we're going to be using. It's going to be this particular color is English walnut gel stain. We will be using Better with Age, and I've got the top off, so I can't really
T, you want to see if
turn
we've
that.
got it better with age?
So, well, it's showing up.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so a
great.
Better with Age.
Good, good, good.
We've got our matte sealer, which is a water-based polyurethane. And-
Fabulous
And the
product.
nice thing, everything I've shown you so far is water-based, easy cleanup. This is going to be our light antique wax. Now, this is petroleum-based, but I prefer this when I'm finishing out a piece of furniture because of the carnauba and beeswax that's in this. It's thicker than our Mind Your Own Beeswax. So I like it because it's a paste. And then we've got assorted brushes. We're going to be using Dust of Ages. We're going to be using steel wool, it's called 4-aught. Let me show it. It'll be 400000. It's the finest of the steel wool. We'll have some 220 sandpaper. There's our chip brush. We'll have several of those. And as we go through the process, you'll see what we do with each one of them. So first thing we're going to do, let's say I've got a piece of furniture, I've stripped it, I've got it down to bare wood, and now we go through the distressing process. So the first thing I'm going to do, remember that block of wood we had? I'm going to take it and I'm going to soften the corners and the edges.
What's the importance of that?
Because, when you're doing a new piece of furniture or a piece of furniture that's not been aged 100 to 200 years, those corners are going to be sharp. Well, if you go to an antique store, if you've got antiques in your home, none of those corners are sharp and pointed. They're kind of rounded from
That's a good
over that
word.
years of age, and also the edges. So we're just going to go in and we're going to soften that.
So question, and I'm going to ask this because that maybe some of the people at home may be wondering the same thing. Why would you use a block of wood to be able to just take down the edges and the corners instead of a sander? Because a lot of people use a sander.
Because you can tell the difference. You're going to tell that you sanded that piece than having the softer, more, this looks more real than it does if it was sanded. It's just, it's not going to look contrived.
Got it.
And this is, again, what I'm showing you are the things that we used to do when we would make our furniture many moons ago, it seems like.
All right, so don't use a sander to
Don't
try to
use a
round
sander.
your corners.
No.
Use a wood block. And then
No.
after we do the edges, what do we do next?
Next, we're going to take our, again, if we had ice picks, I would use that. We're going to create wormholes. If you've seen the antiques, the old pieces of wood, you've seen those wormholes in there. That's where the worms have gone in. They're eating the wood. And so we're going to carefully, and I say use the word carefully, we're going to create wormholes. The reason I don't use one, I use two at the same time, again, it makes it look more realistic and less contrived. And one of the things too is a pointer, don't start in the middle. Stay away from the center. You don't want your eye drawn to that center. So we're going to work in areas that are off-centered. So I'm just pick random spots. And we don't want it to look like a shotgun got hold of it. We want to just do this in random areas. And if you've ever seen wormholes on an antique, you'll see them in groupings. They'll be in areas where there'll be a lot of them together. And then some that are just here and there. Then I'm also going to take that same punch or ice pick, and I'm just going to go in and draw. Again, these are little worm trenches. So if you had the
Can you show
wormholes,
that up to the camera for everybody a little closer so they can see?
so if we're taking that and we're just kind of digging in, because let's say you've got the wormholes in a block of wood and you cut that block of wood open. Wormholes the worms don't drill straight down, they drill at an angle. So you'll see these little trenches in the wood. And they kind of connect the wormholes where they've traveled through the wood.
So when we talk about percentage wise, like on a chest, on the top of a chest or a drawer to a chest, about how many of these areas would our goal be to put on it?
You know, I've probably covered maybe 10-15%
Okay.
of this piece.
Can we just get it up close? I want them to be able to see. Can you guys see that? Can you see that trail? Can you see that right here? Okay, sorry.
Now, I'm going to turn this over. And again, over time, things are going to drop on that piece of furniture. Somebody's going to, throw something down and it's going to leave a little dent. And so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create some dents and some
Divot.
scarring, some divots in the wood as well. Again, just here and there, try to stay away from that middle. And you can see we've got some little areas
Oh, that's pretty.
where we've just hit that.
Thank you for putting that up.
All right. And the next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our Better with Age. Oh,
This is my favorite. Oh, wait, do you need your hammer?
if you want to, you can take the hammer and use the claw part of the
Why is
hammer. again, if we use the nose of the hammer, what it's going to do is just you're going may see that shape of the nose of the
That's a
hammer,
telltale
and
sign.
we don't want that to. So I'll use the claw, and we can also go in, and we can just hit little spots as well. And again, it just has little areas where we've kind of dented the wood. Now we're going to take our Better with Age.
This is key. You can't do the finish that we're doing today. Can I just show them this real quick? Like after every time, you're going to see it on the final result. The importance of building up what Jean is doing. See the indentations and the marks. It all starts to build up to create a really beautiful stained finish.
So we're going to create, as you saw in this piece, these fly speckings. This thing's in reverse. So we're going to create these fly speckings that you see. And we're also, notice our ring. You know, whenever you get you
Set
got
a
a new
drink
piece
on
of
top
furniture
of
and you
it.
sit there and they go, oh, I've got a ring, water ring in my finish. Well, in this case, it's desirable.
Yes, I love it. Love, love, love.
All right, so I'm just going to take our chip brush, or Better with Age, and I'm going to offload it because we don't want big drops on here. We want, again, we're fly specking, not trying to do something that's going to be too, so I'm kind of testing it out on my paper.
Offload it first.
Yeah, offload it, and then,
Do you want a
we're-
piece of wood or anything
No.
to hit it again?
no, I'm just tapping it against my hand. And I'm being very selective of where that goes. And then we can, if we want some smaller spots, we can just flick the bristles. But if you do that, be sure and move it, the brush around as you flick so that it doesn't stay in one place. And then as that sits, you're going to see the transformation of where this will start getting darker. And that's going to create our H spots or our fly specks.
One thing that a lot of people don't realize, the Better with Age allows you to be able to age wood within seconds, and it goes down in, it penetrates into the wood, and it's actually a reaction process with the tannins in the wood. So it's not a stain, it's not going to wipe off. It literally goes down in there, and it's imperative to use it first if you want to create a beautiful old stained finish.
Now, what we'll do, and you can use the bottom of a lid from a jar. We've got this little plastic cup, and what I'm going to do, I am going to dip this into the Better with Age. I'm going to offload it a little bit, and then we're just going to drop it down. Well, better not enough than too much. Do it again.
Is it safe to do it again?
Oh, yeah.
Do you turn it or you just let
No.
it, you just hold it in place?
Just hold it in place. We don't want to move it around because we don't want to smear that. There we go. Now you can see our ring, and it's good. I would prefer it not being solid. I prefer it to have some breaks in the ring. Again, that again makes it look like that ring was there, but over time it's worn. Now we're going to take a hair dryer, and we want to dry our age spot so we can take it to the next. You don't want to get too close to the wood as you're doing this, because if you do, when you've got these droplets, it'll cause the droplets to disperse and spread out. And we don't want that. We want the spots to stay like they are. And another thing we can do is, do you give me that? There should be a little artist brush. There we go. We can also take our artist brush and take our Better with Age. We can also
Very careful.
kind of have it, yeah, just very lightly with the tip of the art brush and just roll it.
Are you intentionally going the opposite direction?
No, I can go with the grain, against the grain.
And the goal of this, so you've got several things going on. You've got your ring, you've got these wormholes, you've got your trails, you've got the dots now. So you're wanting these for texture, visual texture?
Again, it's just instead of having all the little dots or spots, and
Right,
this is just creating some linear
got it.
in there as well.
And, and it's not a stain again, it's Better with Age. So
So you
it's
could
gonna, it's
see that
there.
show up. And you know, when you first do this on the raw wood, it's going to look a little harsh because we haven't softened it yet. But this is our first step in our aging antiquing process before we go into the stain. Then the next thing we'll do, take a little 220 sandpaper, and we're just going to lightly go over this. This will soften those wormholes, the gouges, the Better with Age marks as well.
And they're getting darker and darker.
As it
You
goes.
didn't thin that, you used it straight out
I
of the
just
can.
straight out of can. And you know, if you want to, and again, before you do this on your furniture, please get some wood samples and work with the samples before you do your piece of furniture, so you kind of know what to expect as you do the different processes and the different products. So the next thing we'll do, we'll use our English walnut stain, and I'm going to apply it with a cotton rag as opposed to a brush. Now, you can use a brush if you want to. I just, from old school, from staining, because we were doing large pieces, we were doing them, in more of a production. We're going to apply it with our cotton rag. And this also allows us to get the stain down into those wormholes, the gouges. When you get the stain onto the wood and down in the wormholes, down in the gouges, down in the grain, it really makes that pop more. But it also, as you can see, it has softened all of the Better with Age marks. Now, next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to lightly take the excess off. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it.
Now that looks really light.
It does, because this is our first coat.
So it's not about, it's kind of like the one step. It's called one step, not one coat.
Right.
So you're saying the process of this, we want it thin this first time.
Yeah, I
Because
mean,
it's all adding to the layering effect.
right.
Depth.
And thin meaning we're not wipe on and wiping it totally off. We've wiped it on, then it's really more of a smoothing.
Okay.
And as you see, I've still got stain on here. And so when I blot it, I'm adding some stain onto the wood, but then I come back and very lightly kind of rub it out so that you don't see the texture of the cloth pounced onto the wood.
I love the fact that this gel stain is actually water-based. All the gel stains are.
Gel stains, the
Better with Age,
Better with Age,
the matte sealer, all water-based.
All right.
Beautiful.
Well, let me have the
Hair dryer?
dryer, and then to get the samples out of the
I got them right here.
beautiful. So right now, you can let this air dry, probably take about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on the temperature and the humidity. but you really want that first coat dry before you put the second coat on.
So now you're gonna go in and put a second coat of stain on.
Yeah.
Of the same color. And
Same
that's
color.
gonna add that much more depth.
Gonna add our depth to it because we're layering. Okay. Now, the reason we want this very dry before we put the second coat on, because what'll happen is it'll go from a positive to a negative. And I know if you remember Amy's teachings and of instructing of how the negative and positive tool, what we don't want to happen, we don't want to take the stain off that's existing. We want to add stain on to the existing. So we have to be careful and make sure that's good and dry. So I'm going to start out.
You didn't use a brush. You
Mm-mm.
didn't use.
No, in this case, again, just using the rag and I'm putting it on lightly,
Are you
and
trying to kind of model it with your rag?
both. I'm kind of modeling it as I put it on and then rubbing it out as well. But again, very soft. We don't want to do this
Heavy.
heavy.
Because it takes away from the first coat that we did in the depth. And then the markings that we've done with our Better with Age.
Right, because we're not wanting to remove everything. We're trying to layer this.
Guys, as you pop on here, please say hello. If you've never tuned in before, if you're catching us live, you are live. We are live right now. It's Friday. We are showing you how to create beautiful antique stained finishes on your pieces that you're going to thrift, or maybe you're fortunate enough to have a woodworker, but there's a lot of pieces that you can thrift from the 30s, 40s, and 50s that are made out of solid oak that we're going to show you how to be able to create this look. And Jean is the master of this. You are learning from someone that has done this for 35, 40 years.
Mm.
And he truly is a master and creates the most beautiful stain finishes. Look at that. That is absolutely fabulous.
So again, you
Fabulous.
can see this is what sets this apart from a one and done.
Yes, love it.
Is that you can see the layering. You can see dark and you can see light. That is one of the what is it? Trompe l'oeil?
Yes.
To
Fool the eye.
to fool the eye. What's one of our French words that
Yeah.
can be used? Don't give it away.
Okay, good.
And so again, you can see how we've got light and dark in here. So it gives us more depth
I love it, babe. That's fantastic.
of that. So it really stands out much more so, much more interesting than the one and done where it's all uniform.
Okay, so now here's one that you've got that has dried.
Okay.
That way that everybody can kind of see as far as the markings from it. It's really, really pretty.
So this has been stained. This has got our 2 coats of stain on it. And we're ready for the matte sealer for this. And you can see you can see our watermarks. You can see our wormholes. There's a little scratches and dents here and there. And again, you want that second coat. You want the stain to be completely dry, at least 30 minutes to an hour. And we're going to put our matte sealer on.
Do you suggest putting the matte sealer on with a sponge brush?
I like the sponge brush because it eliminates the
Any brush marks?
brush marks. And we're going to do 2 thin coats as opposed to 1 heavy coat.
How long do we need to let those dry in between?
Same thing. We want to let this dry 30 minutes to an hour. A lot of it will depend on your room temperature, your humidity. I do not suggest using a hairdryer on this because
What's that?
you could create bubbles.
Oh, that's a
in the
good work
finish.
because that's what I always do. I hit it with a hairdryer.
So if you put it on low heat, high fan, that's okay. The heat could cause bubbles in the matte sealer. So what we'll do is we'll let this dry again 30 minutes to an hour. Once that's dry, we'll come back with our
You want that?
with our sandpaper, we'll lightly sand that first coat, just a light sand, just almost like you're dusting it off. Then you'll put a second coat of matte sealer on it. Again, a thin coat of that matte sealer. Let it dry 30, 45 minutes, an hour. The longer the better. And lightly sand that. So 2 coats of matte sealer, sand in between, sand that final coat. Now, here is we've got 2 coats of matte sealer, and we are ready for our waxing.
Can we just show everybody a little bit closer?
Yeah.
So it's that dead flat. You see how flat the matte sealer is fabulous as
Mhm.
far as it just gives you that dead matte. You're not going to be fighting with highs and lows by using some type of poly or
Well, it's a poly, but it's a water-based and it's
Matte.
matte. So the
Right.
nice thing is you don't have this plastic
yes.
looking finish
Yes.
to it.
Yes. Love that.
And to set that off even better is that we're going to take a wax, which any of your fine finishes that were done back in the 18th, 19th century had a wax finish on it. So we're going to take our light antique wax. Again, we're going to use our 4-aught, that's 4 zeros, finest steel wool. And we're
So
just
you're
going to
going to apply
straight
this
into
with
that.
steel wool
go-
instead of a rag,
Instead
or
of a
why
rag.
not a brush?
Or instead of a brush. Again,
What is this doing?
this is, think of your steel wool as a rag. And what that's doing, that's getting down in our grain, it's getting down in our um, wormholes. But I'm not trying to buff this right now. This is more, it's an applicator as it is more than it is a buffing tool.
So how, I mean, just for everybody at home when they're watching this, because Jean, these are great tips. Not using a brush, not using a rag with the wax, instead using the 4-aught steel wool.
Mhm.
How is it going to make a difference in our finish?
Well, one, the steel wool, even though it's the finest, the 4-aught steel wool is fine, very fine. It is also acting as a smoothing. So it's buffing that finish while we're doing the application. So, but again, we're not really wanting to do the buffing as much as it is the application right now.
So Mimi has a question. Is it scrunching the wax into the wood?
Of course, and if you used a rag, it would do the same thing, but the rag is not going to act as a buffing compound like the steel wool is. So the steel wool's giving us you're getting 2 for the price of 1. You're getting an applicator and you're getting a buffer, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
Love it. Love, love,
All
love.
right, so we've done that. Now, we've got a light coat of wax on it. Before the wax dries, I'm gonna come in with my Dust of Ages, use my chip brush, and I'm just gonna apply this.
So it's almost to the point of being dry.
Yeah, it's,
You don't want to put this on before when it's wet, that wax.
well, you don't want it to be, again, you're not you're not buttering bread. You're just putting a very thin layer of wax on there as a way of creating the part of the patina. It's still a little damp, but it's not that, it's not just liquid.
Got it.
And as I do this, I'm taking that Dust of Ages, I'm getting it down in our wormholes, in our trenches, in our little gouging, and then I can come back. The nice thing about this, anything I haven't used,
You're going to save
I
it.
just put it back in my container.
Yes, Mimi, I agree. Jean's an artist.
Uh,
Guys, be sure,
Artiste.
take advantage today. Our code is stained20. So all the products that Jean is using and showing you how to create this gorgeous antique stain finish, you can use the code stained20 and you'll get 20% off.
And the stained is lowercase.
And stained is lowercase. All right, so that Dust of Ages is dried down. You need a rag or
Steel wool. So what I'm going to do now is take a clean piece of steel wool. Let's let this dry. We, of course, for sake of time, we're not able to do them as long as we need to, but let's let it dry for 15 to 30 minutes. And then you want to take your steel wool and buff with the grain.
The grain. Oh my gosh, that's
Don't,
gorgeous.
don't put a lot of pressure on it. We're just putting a little pressure,
Oh, Jean,
and
that's beautiful.
it's more of the,
Isn't that beautiful? I wished everybody from home, watching from home, could see this in person.
so there we are.
Really, really beautiful. That is crazy. In 30 minutes, we have gone from plain raw wood to that gorgeous, gorgeous finish.
Mhm.
Feels good. And it doesn't feel like a factory finish.
No,
It
that,
feels like a fine cabinet finish.
no, and that's the wax. Your wax gives it that softer patina than if it was just a lacquered finish or a polyurethane finish.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to turn this up. We have some news. Sorry for my hand. It's hard to be able to navigate that. Was that not fab? Was that, look at that. Great job, babe. Great job. All right.
$5.
So don't forget, share this video, tag some good friends that you know would enjoy learning how to create these gorgeous antique looking age stained finishes.
Okay.
So pretty. And you can incorporate some of the, I think it's pretty to incorporate some of the one step, painting that in blacks and browns and incorporating that with your stained pieces. But here's some exciting news that we wanted to share with you. One, share the video today, tag some good friends, and then that way your name will go in for a drawing, and we'll be drawing next week to be able to announce the winner of the products, and we're going to send it to you absolutely free. But here's our news. So next week is my birthday, and Jean Howard is taking me to Paris, and we're going to go to the Paris flea market. We're going down to Provence and Aix, and we want to take you with us. So if you'll be watching on a Maker Studio, as well as Amy Howard at Home, we're going to have little specials. We're going to be taking you in and showing you why we get so excited about the Paris Flea Market, why we love so many things about France, how we are so inspired with finishes, with creating products to be able to help you craft a beautiful life. So we want you to join us. We're going to be doing posts. We're going to send you our itinerary. We're going to show you the restaurants that we're going to. We're going to show you where we're staying. We've actually rented a hotel, not a hotel. I'm so excited. I can't stand it. Jean rented an apartment in Paris, right like a block from the Eiffel Tower. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But more than that, I told Jean, I was like, I'm excited about taking you with us. We have the most incredible community of people that we look at as our family. And we know you get jazzed when we get jazzed, and we get jazzed when you get jazzed. And so that way, if we can take you with us and we can teach you and just make your life more rich, because we think traveling and being exposed to beautiful things like that.
Yeah. And you'll get to see the real deal of what we've tried to recreate here.
Yes, and it'll make it that much more fun. So join us next week. You're going to probably see way too much of us, but it'll be a lot of fun, and we're going to take you with us. So thank you for tuning in today. Take advantage of the code. It's STAINED 20, STAINED 20, and get 20% off all the products that my beautiful husband shared with you today in creating that masterful stain finish. And then share this video and tag some good friends, and they will take advantage of Jean's masterful teaching, I think, after 35 years of doing this. Great job, babe.
Thank you.
Have a happy Friday, guys, and we so appreciate you. Have a great weekend, too.
See you in Paris.
Yes.